Unlaced podcast. It's actually not bad. It's really good, bro. Well done.
Welcome back, everyone. Another episode of the Unlaced podcast. Thank you, everyone, for tuning in to our A-League review, overview, and finals preview last week. That was just awesome to have so many people's feedback and so many people tuning in. And everyone knows that we do have quite a diverse range of sport and interest on this podcast. And for those that do know me well, they know that I love my AFL. They know that I love my AFLW, but even more so, they know that I love the St Kilda Football Club. Never seen a premiership, but that's fine. We'll get there one day. Doesn't hurt or anything like that. But I'm excited today because a few weeks ago, people will recall we had Alexandra Saundry on, who is essentially the management mogul of female sport in this country, or going to be. And she was very supportive and helpful in landing Georgia Patrikios on the show. And for those that don't know Georgia, we're going to go into some of her achievements in her first two seasons at St Kilda in the AFLW, but an incredibly talented and gifted footballer. So I'm super happy to have you on, Georgia. How are you feeling?
Yeah, feeling good. Thanks for having me. Looking forward to it.
Yeah, that's good. That's good. You're not too nervous because it's I'm a big Saints fan, so I think I'm more nervous than you.
No, you've done well in making me feel comfortable.
Oh,
so,
good,
yeah.
good. Because I'm just going to go through your first two seasons, which are remarkable. So you got picked up, pick 5, we validated in 2019. So going back to that draft, did you have any idea you were going to get picked up by St Kilda beforehand?
I had I have sort of an idea going into it. I wasn't too sure, but I had an interview with them. I think it was during the draft combine, and they sort of said to me, "If you're there, we're pretty sure we're going to pick you up." So
Wow.
yeah, they said I probably wasn't going to go past them. So
I can't believe you got to pick 5. Like, that's ridiculous.
Yeah, I think with that draft you could nominate Metro and Interstate. So I was third pick in Victoria.
Okay. So, right. And then you obviously nominated Metropolitan.
Yeah.
Fair enough. Okay. Did you have any idea, because I'm going to go into some of your achievements, but did you have any idea you would, 2 years on, you'd be able to sit here and sort of have the list of accolades and achievements you did? Were you quite ambitious on that front, or is it just naturally unfolded that way?
I think it just naturally unfolded that way. You don't really expect to get all these awards. You just play, I play because I enjoy it, and it's something I've done since I've grown up, and now it's just big part of my life. But no, I didn't really expect to get all the awards, but
Yeah.
you can't really complain, can
No,
you?
not at all.
Yeah.
But did you feel any pressure being such a high draft pick, and particularly to St Kilda, which was a relatively new female or AFLW side for that matter?
No, not. I wouldn't say it was pressure, but I felt like I wanted to make an impact for my team, like just go in and try get a game in round 1 and then just play the best of my ability. So I didn't put too much pressure on myself. I just wanted to play well.
Okay.
Yeah.
I mean, look, I listen to that and I think, what a beautiful answer. And then I look at your achievements and I'm like, no, she's got some like inner dog in her that just wants to compete and win. So for those listening, as I mentioned, Georgia Patrikios, her first 2 years in the AFLW, season 1, she made the best 22 under the age of 22. She was an AFLW Rising Star nominee in one of her first games. She was also the AFLW's best first-year player and won the best and fairest in St Kilda as part of, I think, 4 people.
Yeah, it was 4 of us, yeah.
Which is weird. Why 4?
Yeah, I don't know.
Anyway, Saints, pick up your game there. Just give it to 1. But anyway, major first year. Then the following second year, the one best and fairest wasn't enough. So she swooped in another one. And then most of all, and most notably and well-deserved, was the AFLW Women's All-Australian team, which is just anyone who's near AFL being an All-Australian is like a holy grail achievement outside of the individual achievements. So, I mean, it's pretty insane. You must have been pretty flattered to have that come your way this year.
Yeah, definitely. To see the names that were sort of on the bench and I was actually placed on the field, I was a bit, oh my gosh moment. But yeah, couldn't be happier.
Does those moments kind of validate like all the hard work you've put in, and when you see those results, you're like, it's not a relief, but it's like you see there's a method to your madness of what you're doing and the feeling you get out of it.
Yeah, it's good to know like what I'm doing is working and it's put me in the spot I am. So just want to keep working at it and just do the best I can moving forward as well.
Yeah, oh, that's awesome. So if you look back on your first 2 seasons, because they've been, I wouldn't say up and down as a team, because I think that, as we mentioned, the group is just a very young group. So you're maturing quite quickly and you've had a lot of good wins, a lot of losses. But what are some of the biggest lessons for you that you've taken out of the first 2 seasons that have been, if you look back on when you came into now, have sort of helped you?
Well, something I got taught was you have to try be a better person when you're away from the club. So the things you do at the club obviously get seen by everyone, but it's the things behind the scenes that no one sees that can make you a better footballer. So obviously you have training and you train the same hours as everyone else, but it's what you do away to make you better than those people that are training at training.
Yeah.
If you get what I'm saying?
Yeah,
So,
yeah, of course.
Yeah, so those things away from the club are more important than what, well, not more important, but just as important as what you're doing at the club.
Who's put that towards the group? The coach?
Oh, well, this wasn't from the group. This is from my older brother. So he told me.
Oh, right.
Yeah,
Oh, so this has come from your...
Yeah, this has come from my family. So.
Oh, that's massive fan of that, by the way.
Yeah.
That's so, like, when you say that, or when that comes from your brother, like, in the reality of what that means to you, what would it be? Like, is it you doing extra training sessions, or is it just like doing your recovery properly, little things like that?
I think it's a mix of everything. I think it's, if you're doing your gym, obviously we had COVID last year and we had an extended break. So doing your gym in that off time, being able to do your running, actually completing it. But for me, it was more having those people to do that with. So he would push me, let's say, I couldn't be bothered one day going for a kick. He'd be like, let's go, we're going. So he'd make it a lot easier. But yeah, it's the things he said that you're doing behind the scenes that can make you better.
That's really fascinating. Yeah, there's a quote. I mean, it's quite cheesy, but essentially it talks about, like, when you're drenched over, poured in sweat when no one else is watching. They're the kind of defining moments of who you are as a footballer. Yeah, exactly. I can relate to that quite a lot, so that's really interesting. Was your family, your sort of circle of trust, were they your biggest influences, just going off by what you're saying? Yeah, so
I sort of followed my older brother everywhere. So he went to Auskick when I was younger.
Okay.
And I followed him there. Wherever he was, whatever sport he was playing, I was there following him. So he's someone that has definitely helped me through the ranks. And, yeah, he's someone that's pushed me to be better.
Do you reckon that, because we had Fletcher Roberts on a few weeks ago, and he played less than 100 games. He played like 50 games, but he won a premiership with the Bulldogs, and he was saying he had 3 older brothers. And when I played junior footy with him, and he was just a freak. But I was like, did it help having like 3 older brothers, just like, because you kind of get a bit more advanced when you're playing with people who are more advanced than you? And he said it did. Is that the same for you?
Yeah, I guess, like playing footy in the hallway, like he was always one to make me become competitive. Like, he's the one that drives me to want to win because he always beat me. So I always had that goal to win, but I never could against him. So now that I've gotten older, it's sort of, what drives me.
Do you beat him now?
No.
No,
Still,
really?
no. He plays seniors footy, so he's still pretty good.
Okay, right,
Yeah.
okay. So if we go into, I guess, actually, no, I'd be interested to see, because, like, you come across as a very sort of lovely and timid and nice person, but I can't stop looking at your achievements and thinking you've got real competitive like nature in you. So I think you're playing that down a little bit. But what would you say are some of your key strengths to assist you in those first few years? Because I think coming into any new environment at a professional level, it doesn't matter what level it is, it's still like quite a lot to take in, because there's a whole lot of reasons, a whole lot of new elements that come to you that you've never experienced before, and there's a new pressure and you're in the limelight and whatnot. But what are some of the key strengths you think that you've fallen back on to help you sort of just focus on your footy and be the best you can be?
Yeah, that's a good question. I think for me, I've watched a lot of footy tape growing up, so I've always loved watching games. Like, I rewatch them. If there's games about myself, I like to watch what I can do better, what I've done well, so I can keep improving on those things. So for me, I think it's just watching tape and just watching footy in general, which has helped me have that knowledge to grow my game and get better, and then also help other people around me get better. So,
okay. So when you watch tape, would you watch someone specific or a team specifically? Like, what would be? Because when I used to watch tape of soccer players, I just used to watch the same players that I used to like. But what's it for you?
I don't know, I just enjoy watching football.
So you watch footy in general and just pick things up?
Yeah, so just sort of pick things from certain people. I love watching Scott Pendlebury and how he goes about it, even though I'm not a Collingwood supporter.
Yeah.
But just watching him is just all
Me
class.
Too. Me too. You actually have elements of him, like you do. Because one thing I noticed about you, and it's quite hard to have both of this, but vision is one thing, which Pendlebury's crazy at, but then like execution of the vision too is quite hard. And I've noticed a lot of like your kicks inside 50, I don't see too many A4W players doing that sort of, like having that vision. And I'm not too sure where that's came from, but that's like one of the most notable things I've seen about your game. Your early sort of childhood and relationship with sport, was it always footy dominant, or did you have other interests? Obviously.
I've played basketball.
Did you?
Yeah, that was sort of early days, and then it came to a point you had to choose footy or basketball, and then obviously I loved footy a lot more. So
Yeah. When was that age for you?
when I started, or when I had to choose?
No, when you had to choose.
Probably when I was in year 8, year
Year 8,
9, because
okay.
I was at Maribyrnong Sports Academy, and I was in both programs, the footy program
Okay.
and the basketball program. So the commitments became a lot because you had training inside of school and then training outside of school. So it
Yeah.
made it a bit hard, but yeah, definitely chose footy.
So were you always going to be were you always sport orientated? Was that sort of always your natural habitat of such?
Yeah, always good at sport at school, and
Yeah.
just stuck to it.
Fair enough. So where did you play your junior footy?
I was playing at West Coburg,
West Coburg.
from under 10s to under 14s, and then from there I had to move to a girls' league
Okay.
and played at Pascoe Vale.
Oh, so you played with the boy. Obviously, you played with the boys. So is there a certain age they like knock on your shoulder and say you've got to stop now?
Yeah, so it's under 14s.
Under 14s.
Yeah, I think from that age is when the boys start developing a lot more. So
Yeah.
they just thought it was best to create a women's league
What-
after that.
What was that like for you in that situation? Because I've never understood what that would be like. Like, kind of, yeah, you've been in the team 4 years, but these guys are hitting puberty and you can't play anymore. Like,
I didn't really understand it at the time. I was just like, we're just playing footy. That's
Yeah.
what it is. It's what we all enjoy. But then, as I watched my brother and as he got older, the boys got a lot rougher and
Yeah.
a lot more injuries. And then I sort of understood as I got older why we can't play with them
Still would have known
through to
the
that.
shit out of
Yeah,
them.
it was
Yeah, I can
it was
understand
annoying,
why.
but
Yeah.
as I got older, I understood more. So,
Okay. So then there was a women's league for you to jump into.
under 18s.
So when you moved to the women's league, because one thing that's interesting for me, and although you're very sport orientated, and it was either basketball or footy by the sound of it at a certain age point, like really the AFLW was, I think it was founded in 2017. So did you really see a pathway for you to be a professional footballer at a certain point? Was it around that age where you could sort of see, oh, the AFLW is a real thing that you can go after? Because I assume prior to that, it would have been a little bit challenging to have like, oh, I can be an AFL footballer in this country. There was no foundation for you to be that.
There wasn't really a pathway as such then. You sort of heard rumours, oh, it might be starting around this date and blah, blah. So there wasn't a set date, so I wasn't too sure, but I was just playing it because I enjoyed it. So
Okay.
there wasn't too much fuss about
Whether
the future. But
Okay.
I was just enjoying playing it
That's good.
in the moment, so made
That's-
the most of it.
Oh, good. I'm glad. I feel like you're one of the lucky ones, really, because you've been able to come in from its inception. You can potentially play in it for as long as you want. Whereas some of the girls, like Alex, for example, or others, they literally just had to like flick a switch and it was like, oh, now we're pro footballers, but
Yep.
we're kind of not at the same time because we're still in the first year or its inception of it. So, did you have any really sort of major sporting idols growing up, like people you looked up to, not just in footy but in anything?
Well, I loved my footy, so it was all
Was
pretty
it?
based around footy. Yeah, I sort of loved watching Chris Judd growing up and
Oh,
Mark Murphy.
machines.
So, yeah, or Mark Murphy, yeah, still playing now, but Chris Judd definitely one I sort of watched and idolised growing up. But
When you look at players like that, is there specific skill sets that you look at that you try and bring into your own game?
yeah, from him, definitely he's sort of burst out of packs and ability to run and carry.
That's
so,
actually one of your big strengths, isn't it?
Yeah.
You're
Oh,
like
yeah.
agility,
yeah,
quickness,
agility and
speed out of
yeah.
packs.
Yep.
Yeah, I've noticed that too. Like you can't catch you. That would suck. It's like you'd be running around all day. But because Chris Judd, like he used to. A lot of people don't realize because he was quick and stuff, but he would run. Like he went to Caulfield, my school, and he was like an elite long distance runner and medium distance runner, and like it just translates onto the footy field. So, what about, given you watch so much footy, like from an AFLW perspective, who are sort of some of the players that you think are really superior, that you really sort of like think are awesome or you look up to or would watch a lot of tape of?
Yeah, so I had Alicia Eva, who plays for GWS. She was my coach when I was at under 18s at the Quarter Cannons.
Okay.
So she was obviously in the league already, so she's someone I looked up to, someone I got advice from. She came down to Melbourne not long ago, or maybe it was last year, and she sort of said, if Georgia needs any help, like she said this to my parents, she said, if Georgia needs any help, tell her to reach out, shoot me a message.
Oh, cool.
So that was pretty cool of her. So she's someone I had before entering the league that is
Okay.
obviously still with me now and looking to support me, even though we're not at the same club.
So you can just pick up the phone and call and have a chat to her about whatever?
Yep.
Do you do that?
I haven't as of yet.
See, I'm the same. You're like, yeah, you can call me. Like, no, yeah, I will, but I still won't.
Yeah, I don't know. I just haven't made that call yet.
Yeah,
but
yeah.
maybe
Well,
this is my
Alicia, it's
push to-
coming this year, so just get ready.
Yeah.
But what is it? Is there anyone else outside of her? I mean, because like when I look, if I was a young girl coming into the league, for example, even though you've achieved probably more than this person, it's ridiculous. But like I look at players like Erin Phillips, like just some of those players that I think are just, or like they're literally brands of the league.
Yeah.
Is there anyone else that's kind of, or you're not really sort of wired that way, where you sort of look around and think they're awesome?
No, I do. Definitely, like you said, Erin Phillips. So she was one of our mentors in the AFLW Academy.
Okay.
So I had a bit to do with her before entering the league. And, yeah, just how elite she is. Like, if you actually meet her, it's unreal. So
What do you mean by that? Like,
just by the person she is, she's always driven to get better. Like, we were there training as an under-18 academy, and she was joining in just to get touch in and be a part of it. So she's always looking to get better. And even the likes of Maddie Prasparkas, like, she was one of my best friends coming through under-18, and to see what she achieved, I just sort of wanted to be like that and just sort of have an impact just like she did.
Yeah, because we were just speaking about that off air before. It's like, it's not. I mean, it's not disrespectful to the men by any means, but it's hard to relate watching a lot of male sports where it usually takes a few years for people to get their sort of feet comfortable in any professional league to then sort of hit their straps. You know, there's obviously some unique situations where you get Rising Star Awards and whatnot, but your list of achievements are that of someone who's like a seasoned veteran or been around for a few years. And I said this to you off air, and I'm like, it's not just you that's done this. Like, you look at Madison Press-Buckus as well. I'm like, it seems like there's no barrier to achievement with the females. As soon as they get in the sport, it's like, bang. And your example of that was that you just, because you've just kind of keep playing footy, like you don't stop.
Yeah.
So there's like, but even so, the mindset of it for me is interesting. Like, there's no fear factor.
Yeah, no, I don't think there is. For myself, I just went in and thought, I'm just going to I'm going to try and play as well as I can, and whatever happens, happens. So,
Yeah,
you just go in there wanting to make an impact and sort of put your name out there. So,
what was the academy like? How was that sort of set up? Was that sort of like a regular thing? Was it like through camps? Like, how did that sort of operate?
We had 2 camps.
2 camps.
It was 3 camps during my last year.
Okay.
So I was in there for 2 years. My first year we had 2 camps, and then my second year we had 3.
Okay.
You had girls from all over the state. You had a level 1 and level 2, so your draftable girls, and then the year after's draft class.
Yeah.
And you all just sort of trained together across these 2 camps, so they were a week long each. In one of them, we got to verse the VFL team, which was pretty cool.
Oh, wow.
So, yeah, as under-18s, you all came together and played a VFL
Yeah,
team.
yeah. Oh, that's awesome. So it's kind of like a rep side versing a...
Yeah, a
Wow.
VFL team. So,
Holy shit.
yeah.
That was full on.
Yeah.
How did that go down?
Yeah, I think both the games I played in across the 2s, we won both of them.
Wow.
Just pretty good effort.
Do you think, like, because the game, like the AFLW was found in 2017, and some of the girls your age have probably been able to build up a skill set and train for something like making the AFLW, that a lot of the younger girls' skill sets are actually more superior than, and this is not to put down the older ones because we could be completely wrong by saying this, but my assumption is you guys have been preparing for this league where they didn't really get that opportunity. So a lot of you girls, probably skill sets are superior. Is that right or wrong in saying, do you think? Because I just look at some of the best talent across the league, and they're all quite young.
Yeah, I think it is what you said. Like, we've been training for it longer, whereas a lot of you saw across year 1 and 2 in AFLW, they had a lot of athletes coming across to
change.
to play
change.
play in the league. So now that you see a lot of the younger women and younger girls coming through, we haven't had to stop throughout the pathway, and you've sort of had those programs to make you better along the whole way. So, like, if you look at Alex, she probably didn't have the opportunities as a footballer as myself and Maddie Barker did. So, it's made it a lot easier for us coming through the pathway, and it's given us a lot more knowledge about it as well.
Yeah. Now, what's interesting about Alex's story, as you mentioned that, and this is the other element of AFLW at the moment, and predominantly a lot of female sports in general, but it doesn't have the same sort of reach and funding and maybe support and backing as some of the male sports, which the reality of that for the females right now is that there's probably other things you have to do to keep yourself busy, because as we said before you came on, it's like you miss playing the season because they're kind of short, but then you have a long break and a long preseason. So is that something, I'm sure Alex is drilling this into you, but is that something you focus on, like finding other interests outside of sport?
Yeah, so for us it's a bit difficult because you have your job and a lot
Yeah.
of people have to work full time, and then as soon as they finish from their 9 to 5 job, they have to go straight to training. So your life's pretty full on during AFLW. So for
Yeah.
myself, I'm lucky enough to work at the club, at the St Kilda Football Club.
Ah, really?
Yeah, so I'm in a Gen W coordinator role,
Oh,
which is
awesome.
just trying to grow female football.
Oh, beautiful.
So they've made it easy for me, but for a lot of people, I know it's really difficult.
Yeah.
Especially throughout those 6 months, like you're full of full on footy, full on work, and it's hard to balance anything else around that. So
Yeah.
it makes it hard, but I guess it's just something people have to work through if they want to be playing.
Was that part of the agreement when they got you in to like give you a job?
No, I wasn't part of the agreement, but I didn't have a job at the time, so they said
It's just logical.
we can help you out if you need, and I said, why not?
Did you, like growing up, did you have ever any other interest outside of footy, like that had nothing to do with sport that you thought you would explore one day?
For me, it was just sport.
Really?
Yeah,
See, this
I
is something. It's not like I laugh, but this is the exact same as me growing up.
Yeah.
And like my situation, like to explain to you, was like I had a lot of injuries. I ended up playing professional soccer for like 4 or 5 years, but all my eggs were in one basket, like everything. And then I came out of it and like had these injuries, and like I just didn't want to play it anymore. And then for 3-4 years, I was like, what the fuck do I do with my life? And it's why I find it interesting, because like a big part of why this podcast was started was it wasn't centered around athlete transition, but a component of it is like it's the reality that every girl in the AFLW has one thing in common, and I always say it's retirement.
Yeah.
Like unfortunately, you're gonna have to stop. I wish we could play forever, but we can't. So that's why I'm always interested, especially in your line of job right now. I think each year the AFLW is only going to get more stable and bigger, and you're going to get more support and be more of a professional athlete, no doubt. But eventually, like right now, you girls experience that more than anyone. You have to have 2 things to do or 3 things to do because you can't be full time. So that's interesting. So you're just footy.
Yeah, it was just footy. Well, I sort of had a bit of an idea, and I was like, oh, maybe I should go down the coaching path. So after I finish footy, I can coach afterwards, because after I finished year 12, I did a course of sport coaching and development.
Awesome.
So I thought, oh, that's something I can really do after I finish playing footy, and that's still something that I'm looking to do potentially. So it's something I can fall back on as well.
Definitely. Speaking of coaching, I do want to go into a bit behind the 4 walls of the St Kilda Footy Club because I love them dearly. But when you mentioned the coaching aspect, like Peter Searle, she's pretty renowned across the league. I mean, or in AFL in general, she was one of the first female coaches, full-time coaches, put on a role and roster. I don't know, was she one of the first female coaches or the first female coach for an AFLW side?
She was the second.
Second.
The
So
first
she's
was
like
for
one.
Adelaide, yeah,
Adelaide.
was the
Okay,
first for Adelaide.
cool. What's it like working with her?
Yeah, Peter has a wealth of knowledge. Like, you go to her and she knows absolutely everything. So,
Really?
yeah, I love doing my match review with her after the game because I'm someone that likes to hear the positives and the negatives.
Yeah.
And, yeah, she's really open and honest with that as
That's
well.
good.
So, yeah, she's someone I can really turn to.
What would be like when you say you like hearing the positives and negatives? Because I think it's one thing saying that, like, yeah, give me radical candor, and then someone's like, mate, you just played shit. Like, you're not quick enough. And then you're like, oh, fuck. But, like, when people give you negative criticism, how does your brain sort of consume that? What does that actually think? Does it take it in a negative aspect, or is it like, okay, that's awesome. Now I actually understand what I have to do?
Yeah, I just try not to take it personally. I know there's a lot of women just in general that would probably take it personally, but I understand that it's not, like, directed at you as a person. It's more about how you can get better as a footballer. So when I go to Pete, I just try to take as much as I can from it, because she just wants me to get better at the end of the day. And I just sort of have the things that she tells me as a focus point to do in the next game. Like, it's not all I think about. Like, I obviously have to take into consideration the things I do well. But yeah, just try to have it as a focus, as something I can get better at as well.
Do you think, like, because predominantly what position would she play you across? Because you play across the sort of wing midfield area, but do you think her sort of coaching and support and I guess empowerment of you has allowed you to just be yourself quite early? Like, it seems like you don't have too much restriction on being the best Georgia Patrikios you can be.
Yeah, definitely. So when I came into the club, she said to me, "Oh, I'm going to throw you in the deep end. I'm going to start you round 1 against Western Bulldogs, home ground, the club's first ever game. I'm going to put you straight in midfield."
At Arcia Park, this was.
Yeah, RSA Park.
Yeah,
I said, and I just sort of thought, challenge accepted. Like,
N-
I'm just
awesome.
going to go out there and do what I can. Like, this is what I live for. This is what I want.
Yeah.
It's a position I love playing, and
Yeah,
she knows that. She sort of played me a lot there through the preseason, and she just said, just go for it.
that's awesome.
Yeah.
That's awesome. Shout out Peter Searle for just
legend.
for just throwing her in the deep end because it worked. Tell me about like walking into the St Kilda Football Club, because this is coming from a fan perspective. I assume you weren't a huge St Kilda fan growing up, so might have been new to just the St Kilda Football Club and its history. What was that like walking into, I guess, a bit of not an old-fashioned club, but a club with a great history that was obviously was time to move into the female game. But did you know much about the place before you were drafted into it?
No, not too much. I knew they were out at Seaford previously to being in Moorabbin, and
Right.
the first thing I sort of noticed when I walked into the place is, well, this is really modern, this is really new.
Yeah.
The facilities are really elite.
Yeah.
Um,
Because they moved back to the old home Moorabbin and essentially redeveloped, what's it called, Arcia Park
yeah,
now.
RSA Park,
Yeah.
So that's the first thing I sort of noticed. And then obviously I have a lot of history on the walls. They have the grand final, the scores
Yeah.
up near the theatre room, and slowly being taught a bit more about the history. But it's just a great club from what I can see. The boys are really welcoming.
Yeah.
Even the girls, like being a new draftee, a lot of them came from the VFL.
Yeah.
So they were really welcoming as well. But yeah, just the whole club just wants the best for us, which is really great.
Was that part of coming into the club when you got drafted? Was that part of it overwhelming? Like there's just so many people there, there's so much history, and it's like you're just kind of this new person walking in, you're like trying to understand it all.
Yeah, so you see like the men, and obviously idolised men playing AFL since I was younger, and then being in the same building as them and them knowing your name. It's just,
Yeah, a bit surreal.
It's a bit surreal, but
Is there any of the boys that, like, for you think are just awesome players that you kind of really appreciate their game being a footy fanatic, or you kind of emphasise a little bit of what they do in your game?
Yeah, I think any fan can say Jack Steele, the way he goes about it.
If you tackle like Jack Steele this year, like I'll personally wear a Georgia Patrikios jersey to a game.
Yeah, so
he just throws them into the ground.
Yeah, his tackling ability is unreal, and something I got told over the preseason was to sort of try and grow on my defensive game. So trying to tackle more, pressure, corralling, all that sort of stuff. So he's someone that I look at and I'm like, wow, like he's really elite at that. So
yeah, I wonder
if I can take one thing from him, that would be
tackling.
be tackling.
Yeah. Yeah, well, let's hope. Yeah, I like St Kilda Instagram posted a video the other day of him like tackling someone, and it's almost like it's a rugby tackle, like the way he does it. It would hurt so much. It's legal, but it would hurt. Well, that's pretty cool. So, I mean, when you walked into the all the girls as well, because like, what's sort of the culture like across the AFLW team? Because it's been such an early part of your establishment into just being a team or a franchise for that matter. What's sort of been the initial foundations that Peter and the club have tried to set as like a culture and an identity as such for you girls?
Yeah, I think for us it's just trying to go on what our values are, like just trying to follow in what we believe. So we've sort of set our values and we want to portray them when we play and sort of leave a legacy. That's one of our values, actually, legacy, leaving a legacy behind for the people that come in after us.
Mm-hmm.
So not just trying to do what's best now, it's what's doing best as well for the future and for the next people that come in. So you want to set a foundation that can allow the next generation of girls to come in and feel welcome and feel appreciated and just have that baseline of
Yeah. Interesting. All right, let's go across the league a little bit, because I actually think, just on that, I think you guys are going to win the first flag for the St Kilda Footy Club.
Fingers crossed.
Yeah, like you're going to beat the men. No disrespect to the men, but I'm a loyal fan. But I'm backing the girls. If you look around the AFLW league, your first few years, who would be your hardest opponent, individual player?
I actually had a conversation not too long ago that Tyler Hanks, I think, is really underrated in the Melbourne midfield.
Really?
Yeah, I think I versed her my first year, obviously, against Melbourne, and she can just run all day. She's such a powerful athlete. She's got an elite leg, like she can use both sides.
Yeah.
But yeah, she's someone I really struggled to play on. So
really?
Yeah.
How have you gone? Like have your stats been up there against her, or have they kind of dropped, or is it you just in general you just find it much harder to achieve what you want playing
Yeah,
against it?
just in general, like find it hard to play on, and
It's sometimes like that though when you play. Like I think a lot of the players, like a lot of the top players in the AFL and the men's AFL, they'd say their hardest opponents probably wouldn't be the ones you'd think. They'd
Yeah.
probably be some of the ones that are willing to, sacrifice a bit of their game to make your life a little bit harder. We kind of touched on this before because I sort of asked around there, who do you look up to around the league? But is there a level of player right now in the AFLW that you would like to reach, your game and your stature?
probably Aaron Phillips is probably
Aaron
one,
Phillips.
or Daisy Pearce, just the sort of the mark they've left on the game is just something that I personally want to do as well. Just someone that people can look up to and someone as a role model that younger girls can sort of aspire to be like.
Yeah.
Yeah,
okay.
definitely someone like them.
So, yeah, I want to be Aaron Phillips.
Yeah.
She played basketball for Australia too.
Yeah, she
which
played,
is like, did she go to an Olympics?
Yeah, she played at the Olympics. Yeah,
Ridiculous.
pretty elite.
Yeah, that's elite.
Yeah.
Yeah, you got now you got to put your hat in the basketball ring too. Okay, so when we talk about your some of breaking down your game a little bit, and you sort of explaining like you like watching tape with the coach just to kind of get that negative or positive feedback, and also like that transparent and radical candor of like these areas you can improve on. What are there things that you're actively working on now to sort of make you more all round in your game? Like you mentioned the defensive aspect, but is there anything else to support that?
Yeah, something I sort of have had to work on since I sort of came into the league was my marking overhead. So the timing of
really?
it, and I just suck at it. So it's just something I've had to work on.
Yeah.
Slowly.
I think you'd be
I'm
better than me
slowly
at it.
getting a bit better, but still not where I want to be with it. But
This is what fascinates me about footy. Like, can you really train for like pack marks?
I think with some people they either have it or they don't. Like you can obviously try and get better.
I think you got to have a screw loose in your
Yeah.
brain to jump head first
Yeah.
into it. Like one, I get marking over your head, but then to mark in a pack, I'm like, holy
Yeah. Some
crap.
people have a lot of Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
I'm going to give you a bit of a hard question here. The St Kilda Football Club, could you sum it up in 3 words?
I think we're resilient. That would probably be the first word.
Like that.
We're passionate.
Definitely.
And third one. I don't know. I guess the club has a lot of loyalty.
Loyalty.
Yeah.
Yeah. But the fans, definitely.
Yeah, fans, yeah.
Jesus. I mean,
Yeah.
I've almost jumped ship a few times, but no, I'm joking. Yeah, actually, they're really good. Really, I think they're proud pillars, to be honest. We're going to go into a bit of a fun segment here, and then I do just want to break a bit more down about your sort of individuality and a little bit more, I guess, who Georgia Patrikios is.
Yep.
But as I mentioned to you, we do like a bit of a fan-fed question, and the Lace 'em Up Quickfire 5 is back, people. We love this little segment. It started very, very, very poorly on Ryan Grant and Bruce Jitte, I won't lie, but we've got a bit more traction on it, and it is a fun game. I do enjoy it. So for you, Georgia, to understand, it's 5 questions, very simple, instinctive answers.
Okay.
No time to think.
Yep.
Reason why I say that is because I had one of my good friends on he just left the director of football of Adelaide United, and he took about 3 minutes to answer every question. So
Okay.
for you, let's go. Hardest opposition team for St Kilda?
Melbourne.
Melbourne?
Yep.
Why?
I think we can match up well with them, but then we obviously lost to them this year, so it's sort of hard to know where we sort of stand with them, but they're definitely hard
Okay.
to match up on.
Favourite skill of your own game?
The ability to use both feet.
I like that. I'm big on both feet too.
Yep.
Proudest moment on a footy field?
Probably debuting for
Yeah?
the Saints. Yeah.
Who was that against?
That was against the Western Bulldogs round 1.
Did you get a Rising Star nominee that game?
Yeah.
Shane. Best advice. This will be a bit of a hard one, so I'll allow you a buffer of thinking. Best advice you have ever received?
Probably the one I said from my brother. So
Yeah,
the things you do behind closed doors.
That's elite.
Yeah.
What's your brother's name?
Perry.
Perry. Honestly, bro, shout out, man. That's some seriously good advice. Favorite ground to play on?
Probably RSA Park.
Yeah?
Yeah, the atmosphere there is unreal. Like, when we ran out in front of 8,000 people,
Wow.
the atmosphere there was
Do
crazy.
you get that crowd like consistently, or was that just because it was one of the first games? Like, what's the typical sort of? Because I think there's quite a few games where there's quite a few big like crowds
Yeah, so
across the league.
I think because of COVID, obviously, this year the crowds sort of were limited.
Yeah.
So I think we had 4,000 because of the COVID limit. But I think if there was opportunity to have bigger crowds, I think a few people would rock up if they could.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah.
So when will the season start for you next?
So we have pre-season starting in September.
September.
And then the actual games will start in December.
So and then now to kind of fill in that gap, you're playing some VFL footy, or you're having like a bit of a break, but you play a bit of footy as well still.
Yeah, so we train with the VFL team and they train 2 nights a week. And then
Is that just because you're one of the sort of younger players, or does everyone do that?
I guess it's based on what you sort of need. Like, I think if you played a lot of footy and you played all the AFLW games, they'll tend to rest players. But I think because I'm young and a lot of the younger girls are there actually.
Something that I've always felt like is a pretty powerful tool for when I played sport, and just even in day-to-day life, like everything that's sort of like, if I don't have a goal tied to something, I find I'm quite not as productive or not as motivated or not as driven. Do you have that with footy? Are you very goal-orientated, or do you just kind of move with the wind? Like, what's your sort of perspective on that?
No, I definitely do set goals. Like, I think I mentioned before that coming into the draft and coming into the club, first day I sort of set the goal that I want to play round 1.
So like little like micro goals as well as macro goals.
Yeah, I feel like I do a bit of both, because when I was at the start of my NAB league, my start of my draft year, my goal obviously was to get drafted. So I just set little goals along the way, some that probably are a bit unrealistic, but I want to happen.
Would you share them?
Well, I think wanting to be an All-Australian, that was probably a goal of mine.
Was that a goal of yours?
Yeah, well, at the start, like, you see the names that become All-Australians and you think, oh, one day I want to be like those people. So
because I don't think you can achieve things like that without actually thinking you can.
yeah, I think
So
yeah, that's exactly right.
do you know what I mean?
Yeah,
Like,
I couldn't agree more.
so that's why I think like when I say you're saying like, I just turned up and played. I'm like, no, you didn't. I'm like not in a bad way. Like I think like, no, I think you really, even if you weren't admitting it to yourself, you generally don't think there's a ceiling on what you can achieve, which is really cool.
Yeah, the thought definitely went across my mind, but it's not something I put too much pressure on.
Yeah,
just-
of course. There's a balance of
Yeah.
like,
I'm just like, yep, I'm here to play. Like, I'll play, but we can hope for that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. No, because that's why I always loved Conor McGregor. Like when he went through that period of fighting and he was just like predicting things. But I think like you do, like there's an element of like, you don't want to put pressure on yourself because there's no need to. You're already, playing footy at a young age at the highest level you can. But at the same time, sometimes speaking things into existence is like really powerful.
Yeah.
What would be sort of like goals that you would set? Like, when we talked about the micro goals there, where you're talking about, I just want to play round 1. Do you have like long-term goals as well?
To win a flag.
Yeah, that's what I needed to hear, Georgia.
Yeah,
Seriously.
That's definitely a big goal.
Yeah.
That's sort of what everyone hopes for.
Yeah.
And if your whole club doesn't have that same goal, then
what's the point?
there's no point.
Yeah.
So, yeah, definitely I think at the Saints that's what we all want. Like,
do you think like from a cultural perspective, like, it's a hard question because I think the females are slightly different. But do you feel that there's like that sort of culture, then that belief that you girls can go on if sort of to progress towards that? Is it kind of been sort of one of those things where you've got to discover it and build it yourself because it's a bit foreign to everyone as well?
I think for the women's space, it's a bit unspoken. Like, you don't hear people like, yeah, we're going to win a flag.
Yeah.
But it's just sort of like everyone sort of has that same goal.
Yeah.
I think our list has the potential
to
win a flag. So, yeah, I just feel like if we all have that same belief and all want it and all train hard over this preseason, I think it's a lot closer than what some people on the outside might think.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, as mentioned, like the young, including yourself, some of the younger draft picks we've had, and then some of the girls like Caitlin Grice, she was an All-Australian the previous year as well. Like,
and leading goal kicker as well.
Leading goal kicker, like G-Train.
Yeah.
For that matter.
And then we have like this draft coming up. We have the second pick in Victoria. So just what we're building is pretty special. So
yeah. Because Tiana Smith, she came in last year and she made an impact in her first season. Like she was, I think, did she come second in the Best and Fairest? Was it?
Yeah, this year, yes.
Yeah, so like it was her first year as well.
Yeah.
So again, there's no ceiling or limit of what these girls achieve in their early seasons. Being in the spotlight, when people think I think of St Kilda, like now, they're going to think of Georgia Patrikios, and particularly like opposition when we play. Like if I'm a coach playing St Kilda, I think, oh, how do I shut down Georgia? Because she's one of the people that's going to threaten us. Some regards, like I assume you've had similar sort of attention your whole childhood because you've been elite, and for other teams to combat your team, they're probably going to have to spend a bit of time thinking about you. But how do you deal with that? Because like I assume you copped a bit of attention this year, but you probably cop more next year. What do you anticipate as well with that?
Yeah, so this year I started copping a bit of attention. I think the one I can remember most was against Geelong.
Yeah.
And that was a game I sort of struggled to get into it, obviously because my mind wasn't really focused on the footy. It was more focused on...
So did they have someone tag you?
I don't know if it was a close tag, but there was someone running with me at stoppages and sort of keeping an eye on me.
Yeah.
But the way I sort of deal with it is sort of have my teammates, like the midfielders, bigger bodies coming to help me out. Like
Yeah.
Things like that. But I think what I learnt from that game is that you sort of have to focus on yourself, on not so much what they're doing. So sort of control what you can control. So if the ball's there, go for it. Like don't hesitate because there's someone around you. You just got to stick to your normal game and work even harder so then they have to chase harder. Yeah,
I think it's the hard one, isn't it? There's not too many sports where someone will spend most of their game just like staying with some person. But footy, they can do that.
Yeah.
But I think that's where, it must be a hard thing for you psychologically as well because you're like, it naturally would just turn your attention elsewhere.
Yeah, I think another thing is, or something I learnt from that game is sort of like wanting to sacrifice my game. So let's say I am getting tagged or I'm not having a great day, like having that attention is allowing someone else the opportunity to get the footy and make the most of that opportunity. So I don't always see it as a negative. I see it as an opportunity for like other people to step up as well. So
selfless. Very good.
Yeah.
There you go.
I'll take it.
Yeah, I'll put my hand up and say I would not think that. I would think, how do I get the football?
Yeah.
But credit to you. Like, do you recognise that in the game, or do the coaches kind of support you on that? Be like, look, just keep your head. You're other people getting the game because of this. Like,
well, I think that came from my midfield coach after that game. So it wasn't something I sort of figured by myself, but something that he definitely pushed forward to me. And as soon as he said it, I'm like, why didn't I think of this sooner?
Yeah, of course, sort of right. Because the teams are going to be like mad to not tag you this year. Like realistically, it's just logical. Like so, but like that's. I assume that's something you're probably preparing for, or just getting, yourself used to. Because I think that's like, there's probably like we speak. There's some of the names we mentioned in the AFL. Like they've been getting tagged for 10 years because they're so good. It probably just becomes normal. With that though, I mean, like so, and this is kind of why I mentioned that is obviously a big part of that is you're in the spotlight. Do you like being in the spotlight? Do you like that pressure? Or do you prefer just kind of being behind the scenes and in the shadows going about your business?
Probably going behind the shadows, doing my business. So I don't like all the attention. But I mean, if it comes, then I'd have to learn to deal with it, I guess.
Yeah.
But just can control what I can control, and whatever happens, happens. Hopefully we're damaging enough to not know who to tag next year. So
yeah,
fingers crossed that.
So you don't like the spotlight, but you like the Unlaced podcast spotlight.
Yeah, I do. Yeah.
Thank you. No, I'm kidding. Honestly, Georgia, it's been an absolute pleasure having you on. As I mentioned, I'm a huge Saints fan, huge Georgia Patrikios fan. Like seriously, for those that aren't watching the AFLW, get along watching it. Support the female game. If you have your time and your wits about, you'll be watching St Kilda and you'll be watching Georgia Patrikios next year because she's electric. Electric speed, electric vision, electric execution, electric everything. Hence the achievements of what she achieved in the first year. So super excited to watch the Saints go again next year and see how we go. And Georgia, thank you for giving us your time and giving us a bit of background on your story.
Thank you so much for having me. I really enjoyed it.
No, pleasure.